Imagine waking up, grabbing your phone, and scrolling through social media before you even get out of bed. Feels normal, right? But what if I told you that every time you do this, you're unknowingly damaging your mental health? Social media isn't just wasting your time, it's rewiring your brain, making you more anxious, more insecure, and even addicted. And the worst part? It's all by design. Let me show you how. We like to think that social media connects us. You can message a friend in seconds, see what your favorite celebrities are up to, and even engage in online communities. But despite being more connected than ever, people are feeling lonelier, more anxious, and more isolated. Why? Because the connections we make online aren't the same as real human interactions. When you have a face-to-face conversation, you're picking up on subtle things: tone of voice, body language, even the energy of the person you're with. Social media strips all of that away and replaces it with emojis, short comments, and curated versions of reality. Think about it. When was the last time you had a deep, meaningful conversation on social media? Scrolling through pictures, leaving quick comments, and reacting with emojis might feel like engagement, but it lacks real emotional depth. Studies have shown that people who spend more time on social media actually report feeling less socially connected than those who limit their use. This disconnection is further amplified by the phenomenon of social media fatigue. After hours of scrolling, you often feel mentally drained, even though you haven't done anything physically exhausting. It's as though social media is draining your energy, leaving you feeling emotionally depleted. Another problem is the rise of parasocial relationships. You might feel deeply connected to a YouTuber, a celebrity, or even an influencer you follow daily. You see their life, their struggles, their victories, but they don't even know you exist. These one-sided relationships can trick your brain into thinking you have a close connection, when in reality, it's entirely artificial. Studies also show that people tend to have a skewed perception of others' lives based on social media. You may see your peers going on vacations, posting about their accomplishments, or sharing intimate moments of their lives, and it might make you feel like you're missing out. The truth is, these curated glimpses of others' lives do not tell the whole story. The absence of struggles or imperfections creates a sense of inadequacy in the viewer. And it's not just individuals feeling this. Social media is reshaping relationships. Ghosting, superficial interactions, and the fear of missing out, FOMO, have all become normalized. No longer invest as much in deep, meaningful relationships because we assume a quick text or like is enough. But deep down, our brains know something is missing. Ever wonder why it's so hard to put your phone down? Why you tell yourself just 5 more minutes and suddenly an hour has passed? That's not an accident. It's addiction by design. Social media works like a slot machine. Every time you refresh your feed, you don't know what you'll get. A new message, a funny meme, a viral video. That unpredictability keeps you hooked. And every time you get a like, a comment, or a new follower, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure and reward. At first, it feels good, but over time, your brain starts to crave more and more dopamine hits. The result? You find yourself mindlessly scrolling, checking for updates, and feeling restless when you're away from your phone. First, this constant stimulation makes it harder for your brain to experience joy from real-life activities. You struggle to focus, you feel anxious when you're offline, and you rely on social media for validation. This constant cycle of seeking gratification through likes and comments can start to take over your life, leaving you disconnected from real-world experiences. The more you seek these dopamine hits, the more you disconnect from the things that truly bring long-lasting happiness. There's a reason why so many former tech executives, people who designed these platforms, now warn against using them. Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, admitted that their goal was to consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. They knew social media would exploit psychological vulnerabilities, yet we're still falling. Research shows that dopamine addiction can actually make us more impatient and less satisfied with life. Instead of enjoying the present moment, we're constantly searching for the next distraction, the next hit of validation. This is why many people struggle with productivity. They're too busy checking their phones to focus on their actual tasks. Studies show that excessive social media use is linked to higher levels of anxiety, depression, and even sleep disturbances. The blue light from screens tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime, making it harder to fall asleep. And lack of sleep, that only makes anxiety and stress worse. So if you're recognizing these signs in your daily life, it may be time to rethink your relationship with social media. Small changes like setting boundaries or turning off notifications can have a big impact. And speaking of engagement, if you're finding this eye-opening so far, take a second to like this video and subscribe. It really helps. Picture this. You wake up, open Instagram, and see a friend on vacation, someone else buying a new car, and an influencer showing off their perfect life. Before you even start your day, you already feel behind. Social media bombards you with unrealistic portrayals of life. People only post their highlights, carefully curating their best moments while hiding their struggles. And even though we know this, our brains still fall into the trap of comparison. Studies show that frequent social media users are significantly more likely to experience body dissatisfaction, anxiety, and even depression. Young people in particular are deeply affected. Teenage girls who spend over 3 hours a day on social media are twice as likely to develop depression-related symptoms. And here's the brutal truth. These platforms want you to compare yourself. The more insecure you feel, the more likely you are to engage with content that promises a better life, a better body, a better version of you. And every time you do, advertisers profit. The term social comparison theory helps explain why we're so prone to these feelings. According to this theory, people evaluate their own worth based on how they compare to others. Social media accelerates this process, and before we know it, we're constantly measuring ourselves against the filtered, curated versions of other people's lives. You may find yourself thinking, if only I had their life, their body, their career, but here's the problem. Social media is a highlight reel. It's not the whole picture. People don't share their failures, their struggles, or the hard work behind their achievements. Yet we feel inadequate when we don't match up. So what can you do? One of the best things is to curate your feed. If you follow people who make you feel bad about yourself, unfollow them. Fill your feed with things that inspire and educate you instead of making you feel inadequate. You can even use your social media as a tool for self-improvement, following pages that promote mental health, self-love, or personal growth. If you're not paying for something, you are the product. Social media companies don't exist to make you happy. They exist to keep you scrolling. The longer you stay on their platforms, the more ads they can show you and the more money they make. And how do they keep you engaged? By playing with your emotions. Algorithms prioritize content that triggers strong reactions, whether it's outrage, fear, or envy. That's why controversial posts spread like wildfire, why negativity gets pushed to the top, and why you always seem to get sucked into online drama. These platforms want to provoke emotions that keep you hooked. The more emotionally invested you are, the longer you stay. The longer you stay, the more money these companies make through ads. It's not just about selling products, it's about selling your time. The more you scroll, the more data they collect about you, and the more precisely they can target you with ads and content designed to keep you engaged. Ever notice how you start feeling anxious or angry after spending too much time on social media? That's by design. Platforms have figured out that the more emotionally invested you are, the longer you stay. The longer you stay, the more data they collect on you. So what can you do? Take back control, set screen time limits, turn off notifications, and most importantly, recognize when you're being manipulated. Social media can be great for connecting and entertainment, but if you're not careful, it can hurt your mental health. Take control by setting time limits, unfollowing negative accounts, and being mindful of what you consume.